Dr. Amanda Mitchell adjusted her ceremonial diplomatic sash in the polished surface of the Confederation Council chamber's crystalline walls. The garment was a masterpiece of deception. Its seemingly decorative patterns contained quantum-encrypted tactical data about every species present in the chamber. The soft, flowing fabric concealed a next-generation combat suit that could deflect energy weapons and stop projectiles. Even her elegant pearl necklace housed enough computational power to run a small fleet's worth of battle simulations. Distinguished representatives of the Galactic Confederation, she began, her voice carrying the practiced warmth that had fooled countless alien species. Earth is honored to present our latest cultural exchange initiative. Her gentle smile never wavered as she activated the holographic display, showing designs for what appeared to be meditation centers and cultural museums. The Zixtal ambassador, a towering arthropoid, clicked his mandibles appreciatively. "Such elegant architecture," he chittered. "It speaks to your species' peaceful evolution." Amanda suppressed a knowing smile, remembering the detailed military history she'd studied at West Point. If he only knew that each graceful arch was precisely calculated to provide interlocking fields of fire, or that the meditation pools could convert into ammunition fabrication plants within hours. From her position at the podium, she could see Lieutenant James Cooper, disguised as a junior diplomatic aide, systematically mapping the chamber's defensive systems through his cybernetic eyes. His seemingly casual glances were actually building a comprehensive tactical analysis of the Council chamber's vulnerabilities, standard procedure for human operatives, regardless of their apparent posting. "The centers will focus on Earth's artistic achievements," Amanda continued, smoothly launching into a description of humanity's carefully sanitized history. No mention of the Roman legions, the naval battles of the Pacific, or the orbital conflicts of the resource wars. Instead, she spoke of poetry, dance, and philosophical achievements. All true, but only half the story. The Merkar representative, a feline being known for his military expertise, leaned forward with interest. "Dr. Mitchell, I've always wondered, how did humanity survive its evolution without natural weapons? No claws, no significant physical strength." His tone was genuinely curious, without a trace of condescension. Amanda's reply was practiced, perfect. "We learned to cooperate, to build rather than destroy." She didn't mention that humanity's greatest weapon had always been its mind, its ability to study, adapt, and overcome any obstacle. She didn't tell them that every human child learned both art and strategy, or that Earth's peace was maintained by the most sophisticated military machine in known space. In the audience, she noted the Crixan delegation's barely concealed disdain. Their species prided themselves on martial prowess, yet they viewed humans as soft, weak creatures who had somehow stumbled their way to the stars. Amanda's neural implants recorded their subtle reactions, feeding data to Earth's vast military intelligence network. Every sneer, every dismissive gesture was cataloged and analyzed. "We propose establishing these centers on 30 worlds," she concluded, knowing that each location had been meticulously chosen for its strategic value. The seemingly random distribution of sites actually formed a perfect defensive network, though it would take a master strategist to recognize the pattern. Each will serve as a beacon of cultural understanding and peaceful cooperation. As the council members nodded their approval, Amanda allowed herself a moment of reflection. Her grandfather, General Mitchell, had commanded Earth's hidden fleets during the First Contact period. Her mother had revolutionized quantum warfare while posing as a civilian researcher. Now, Amanda herself stood at the forefront of humanity's greatest deception, presenting Earth as a planet of poets and philosophers while overseeing the largest military buildup in human history. The council voted unanimously to approve the Cultural Exchange Initiative. Amanda bowed gracefully, accepting their congratulations with perfect humility. None of them noticed how her eyes constantly tracked exits and defensive positions, or how her stance subtly shifted to maintain optimal combat readiness. They saw what humanity had spent centuries teaching them to see, a peaceful, diplomatic species that had overcome its primitive origins. If they had looked closer, they might have seen the truth behind her diplomatic smile. But they didn't, and that was exactly as humanity had planned it. Commander Jack Reynolds stood at the helm of the Hyperion, his calloused fingers drumming silently against the disguised tactical console. To any external sensors, the Hyperion appeared to be nothing more than a moderately successful merchant vessel, its holds filled with luxury goods from Earth. The reality, hidden beneath layers of quantum camouflage and sensor bafflers, was something else entirely. "Sir," Lieutenant Jessica Blackwood's voice cut through his thoughts. Another Crixan battle group just dropped out of hyperspace in the Centauri sector. Her hands moved across her navigation console, which actually controlled the most sophisticated electronic warfare suite in human space. "That makes 3 fleet movements in the past week." Jack nodded, watching as the tactical overlay painted a grim picture. The Crixan Empire was moving their forces with increasing boldness, their ships taking up aggressive positions along supposedly neutral trade routes. To the Galactic Confederation, it appeared to be nothing more than typical border posturing. But humans had been students of war for too long to miss the signs. "Send the data to Central Command," he ordered, maintaining the fiction of a merchant captain, even in private conversation. Centuries of paranoia had taught humanity the value of constant vigilance. "Package it in the standard trade reports. Add my personal note about the similarity to the Thracian Gambit." The Thracian Gambit, a strategy from Earth's ancient history, where armies would probe their enemies' defenses under the guise of routine maneuvers. Jack had studied it at the Naval Academy, along with thousands of other battle tactics humanity had carefully erased from their public historical records. A warning chime drew his attention. "Crixan cruiser approaching, sir," Blackwood reported. "They're requesting standard customs inspection." "Well then," Jack smiled. "Every inch the friendly merchant captain. Let's give them the usual tour." Around him, the bridge crew smoothly assumed their practiced roles. Lieutenant Commander Marcus Rodriguez, their weapons officer, became a cheerful cargo master. Chief Sarah Hamilton, their tactical systems specialist, transformed into a nervous junior administrator. The Crixan inspection team boarded with their typical military precision, mandibles clicking in what they thought was intimidating fashion. Their leader, a scared veteran, barely concealed his contempt for the soft humans. Jack played his part perfectly, bumbling through documentation and apologizing for minor regulatory violations. "You understand, Captain," the Crixan inspector growled. "We must be thorough. These are dangerous times." His soldiers were already spreading through the ship, scanning for contraband. Of course," Jack agreed enthusiastically, while encrypted signals from his neural implant directed the ship's AI to maintain their deception. Deep within the Hyperion's hull, state-of-the-art weapon systems remained perfectly hidden, while holds full of actual luxury goods concealed enough firepower to level a small continent. As the inspection continued, Jack observed the Crixan soldiers with professional interest. Their equipment had improved since the last encounter, and their formation patterns suggested recent combat experience. Every detail was automatically recorded and analyzed by his cybernetic enhancements, feeding into Earth's vast military intelligence network. "Your ship seems to be in order, Captain," the inspector finally concluded, mandibles twitching in disappointed aggression. "You may proceed." Once the Crixan departed, Jack maintained the merchant facade for another full hour, standard protocol when dealing with potential hostiles. Only then did he allow himself to review the real data they gathered. The Crixan weren't just posturing. They were systematically testing defenses, mapping response times, and gathering intelligence for something bigger. "Send a priority black message to command," he ordered, using their most secure channel. "Full analysis of Crixan tactical improvements, along with my strategic assessment." They're not just playing war games anymore. Lieutenant Blackwood looked up from her station, her expression grim. "The Confederation won't act, will they, even with all our warnings?" "No," Jack replied, watching distant stars through the view screen. "They still think diplomatic solutions will work. They don't understand that some species only respect strength. He paused, considering humanity's careful preparations over the centuries. But when the Crixen finally show their true intentions, they'll learn that humans have been preparing for this moment for a very, very long time. Colonel Michael Davidson stood motionless in Haven Colony's central plaza, the ashes of 3 million lives settling around him like gray snow. His civilian attaché uniform, carefully maintained for years as part of his cover, was now stained with blood and scorch marks. The Crixen attack had been swift, brutal, and completely unprovoked. "Sir," Captain Rebecca Martinez's voice crackled through his neural link, "enemy forces have withdrawn to orbit. They're broadcasting their victory declaration across all frequencies." Her tone remained professional, but he could hear the underlying rage. Like him, she'd spent years protecting these people while maintaining their peaceful facade. Michael knelt beside a broken fountain, its once crystal waters now dark with debris. A child's stuffed bear floated face down in the murky pool, its synthetic fur singed by plasma fire. With deliberate care, he retrieved it, his augmented vision automatically recording and analyzing every detail of the destruction around him. "Begin full-spectrum data collection," he ordered, his words triggering a cascade of hidden surveillance systems throughout the ruined colony. "I want everything. Weapons signatures, tactical patterns, command frequencies, every detail of what they did here." The Crixen had been thorough in their savagery. They'd struck civilian targets first, using weapons specifically calibrated to penetrate the colony's civilian-grade shields. Shields that had been deliberately weakened to maintain humanity's peaceful appearance. The few defensive systems they'd been allowed to maintain publicly had been brushed aside like cobwebs. "Colonel," Lieutenant James Wilson reported through the neural net, "I found something at the primary school." The young officer's voice wavered slightly. "You need to see this." Michael moved through the ruins with the silent grace of a career Special Forces operator. His apparent limp, part of his diplomatic cover for years, vanished as combat protocols took over. Around him, other diplomatic staff emerged from hiding, their civilian disguises giving way to military precision. The primary school had been one of the first targets. Michael's enhanced vision picked out the impact patterns of precision strikes, deliberately placed to collapse escape routes first. The Crixen hadn't just attacked. They'd wanted to inflict maximum civilian casualties. "They knew exactly where to hit us," Wilson said, gesturing to a partially melted security panel. "They used our public building codes against us, every safety shelter, every evacuation route. Because we gave them those codes," Michael finished grimly. "All part of our peaceful cooperation agreements." His neural implants recorded everything, composing the message that would change human policy forever. The survivors were beginning to emerge now, those few who had reached the handful of real military bunkers hidden beneath the colony. Michael saw the shock in their eyes turning to something harder, something older. Generations of carefully maintained peace were burning away, revealing the warrior spirit that humanity had never truly lost. "Colonel," Martinez called out, her voice urgent. "We're picking up Crixen communications. They're already selecting their next target. Another human colony." The data flowed through their shared neural network, painting a picture of an enemy who had mistaken restraint for weakness. Michael stood in what had been a kindergarten classroom, surrounded by small desks and scattered learning tablets. On one wall, a mural showed humans and aliens standing together in friendship. The paint was still bubbling from the heat of the attack. "Authorization code, Prometheus." He spoke into the quantum comm, knowing his words would reach Earth's hidden military command in milliseconds. "Haven Colony has fallen. 3 million civilians confirmed dead. The Crixen Empire has made their choice." He paused, looking at the stuffed bear still clutched in his hand. "And now we will make ours." The response was immediate, encoded in frequencies no alien race had ever detected. "Authorization confirmed. Operation Ragnarok is now active. May God have mercy on their souls." Throughout human space, centuries of preparation began to unfold. Beneath peaceful colonies and trading posts, ancient weapons stirred to life. In thousands of seemingly innocent vessels, hidden arsenal doors prepared to open. Humanity had spent generations playing the role of peaceful traders and diplomats. That role was about to end. Admiral Laura Winters stood at the command center of Operation Control, deep within Earth's lunar mountains. For centuries, this facility had masqueraded as a simple mining operation. Now, as alerts flashed across quantum displays, the time for deception was finally over. All fleet commanders, this is Admiral Winters, she spoke, her voice carrying to every hidden warship in human space. Authorization code. Shadowfall. Initiate Protocol Omega. Her words triggered a cascade of events that humanity had rehearsed countless times, but never executed. Across the galaxy, seemingly innocent human vessels began to change. The merchant ship Hyperion's hull plates shifted and reformed, revealing weapons that had been hidden since its construction. The passenger liner Stargazer's luxury cabins retracted, exposing missile batteries and energy weapon arrays. Even the humble mining vessels scattered throughout human space transformed, their industrial cutting beams reconfiguring into military-grade plasma cannons. Status report. Winters commanded, watching as thousands of green indicators lit up her tactical display. Fleet Command responding. Colonel Sarah Matthews reported from her station. 7th Battle Group emerging from the Proxima Centauri Nebula. 9th Fleet disengaging stealth systems in the Sirius sector. 3rd Strike Force reporting ready in the Epsilon Eridani system. On screens throughout the command center, surveillance feeds showed the reactions of alien species as humanity's deception unraveled. The Zixtal ambassadors' mandibles dropped in shock as the human cultural center on their homeworld rose from the ground, revealing a fully equipped fortress. The Merkar Military Council froze in disbelief as sensor readings showed the true nature of Earth's trading fleet. "Ma'am," Lieutenant Commander Robert Chen called out, "the Crixan Empire is broadcasting on all frequencies. They're demanding we stand down our illegal military assets immediately." Laura allowed herself a grim smile. "Send them our response. The one we prepared centuries ago." Across Crixan space, their command centers received a simple message: "You were warned. What follows is not our fault." The transmission was accompanied by detailed files showing every Crixan military installation, defense grid, and strategic resource. Intelligence gathered patiently by generations of human operatives, posing as merchants and diplomats. "First wave is in position," Matthews reported. "The Hyperion battle group is engaging Crixan forces at Haven. The Nightwing Squadron has neutralized their command and control stations in 3 systems." Laura watched as humanity's carefully hidden might was finally unleashed. Each ship, each weapon, each tactic had been refined through centuries of secret development. The Crixan's superior technology, proudly displayed to intimidate other species, was being systematically dismantled by weapons they never knew existed. "Admiral." Chen's voice carried a note of satisfaction. "The Galactic Confederation is requesting an emergency session. They're somewhat concerned about our military capabilities. Tell them we'll be happy to discuss the situation," Laura replied, once the Crixan threat has been neutralized. She turned to a different display, showing the transformation of human space. Cultural centers were becoming fortresses, trade outposts revealing themselves as military bases, and civilian ships forming into battle groups that had trained together for years while maintaining their peaceful disguise. "Signal from the President," Matthews announced. "Operation Ragnarok is fully authorized. All restrictions on classified technology are lifted." Laura nodded, thinking of the weapons humanity had kept hidden even from their own people. "Release the Ghost Fleet," she ordered. "Activate the quantum defense grid. Show them exactly what humanity can do when pushed too far." Throughout human space, vessels that had never appeared on any registry emerged from dimensional pockets where they had waited, crews ready, weapons primed. Defensive systems that redefined the laws of physics sprang to life around Earth's colonies. This was the truth they had hidden for so long. Not just that humanity was capable of war, but that they had mastered it on a level their enemies couldn't comprehend. "Send word to all commands," Laura ordered, her voice carrying the weight of centuries of preparation. "The mask is off. Show them who we really are." General Robert Steele Thompson watched from his command post as the assault on Crixthor unfolded. The Crixan fortress world, believed impregnable by its arrogant defenders, was about to learn the true meaning of human warfare. "Strike teams Alpha through Echo. You are clear to proceed," he transmitted, his neural implants translating the command into encrypted quantum bursts. Around him, the command center hummed with lethal efficiency, each station manned by operators who had spent years mastering their craft while posing as simple traders or diplomats. "Deploying Shadow Strike units," Major Catherine Wells reported, her fingers dancing across tactical displays. Across Crixthor's surface, what appeared to be normal cargo containers suddenly activated. Each one contained a full squad of Special Forces operators, hidden in stasis during routine trading missions over the past decade. The Crixan never saw the first wave coming. Their orbital defense grid, considered the strongest in the sector, went dark as Major Emily Reeves' electronic warfare suite activated. Years of studying their systems while pretending to negotiate trade agreements had given her team intimate knowledge of every vulnerability. "Ground teams advancing," Wells announced. "The Nightwalker brigades are breaching their primary defense line." On the tactical displays, human forces moved with devastating precision. Each strike team knew exactly where to hit, thanks to intelligence gathered by generations of peaceful human merchants. From orbit, Robert watched as supposedly invincible Crixan battle formations crumbled before human attacks. Their warriors, proud of their natural armor and enhanced strength, found themselves outmaneuvered by troops who had studied warfare since humanity's earliest days. "Sir," Lieutenant James Morrison called out, "enemy reinforcements approaching from the Hedrick sector." His tone carried no concern. This had all been planned for. "Activate Operation Checkmate," Robert ordered. In the space around Crixthor, human warships emerged from quantum cloaking fields. The vessels that had mapped these lanes for centuries under the guise of trading missions now revealed their true purpose. Major Reeves' voice carried satisfaction as she reported, "Enemy command and control systems are compromised. Implementing Protocol Shatterpoint." Through her neural interface, she directed an assault that turned the Crixan's own defensive systems against them. Security protocols that had been subtly altered during routine software updates now revealed their hidden purpose. "Sir, we're detecting multiple surrender signals from Crixan ground forces," Wells reported. The tactical display showed entire battalions laying down their weapons, their vaunted warrior spirit broken by the revelation of humanity's true capabilities. Robert allowed himself a grim smile. "Show them the footage from Haven," he ordered. "Let them see what they're surrendering for." Across Crixthor, displays meant for propaganda began broadcasting images of the colony's destruction. The Crixan warriors watched in growing horror as they realized the consequences of their empire's actions. "General," Morrison interjected, "the Confederation Observation Post is requesting access to the battle zone. They want to document potential war crimes." "Grant them full access," Robert replied without hesitation. "Let them see exactly how we fight. Professional. Precise. No civilian casualties. No unnecessary destruction." He paused, watching as another Crixan stronghold fell to precisely targeted strikes. "Let them learn the difference between warriors who boast and warriors who train." The battle for Crixthor would enter military history as a masterpiece of planning and execution. Human forces had spent centuries preparing for this moment, hiding their true capabilities behind a mask of peaceful commerce. Now, as their forces moved with lethal grace through enemy defenses, that preparation showed in every action. "Signal from Earth Command," Wells announced. "Operation Ragnarok is proceeding on schedule. All strategic objectives are being met." Robert nodded, watching as centuries of hidden knowledge and power were finally unleashed. The Crixen had thought they were attacking a species that had forgotten how to fight. Instead, they had awakened one that had never stopped preparing for war. They had just learned to hide it better than anyone could have imagined. Intelligence Director Kevin Sullivan watched the cascade of data flowing across his quantum displays deep within the Earth Force Strategic Command Bunker. Each stream represented a deep cover operative's activation signal, a carefully planted seed finally bearing fruit across Crixen space. Director, Operation ShadowNet is live, reported Commander Rachel Nash, her fingers dancing across holographic controls. Our sleeper agents are reporting in from every major Crixen military installation. For centuries, humanity had placed its people in seemingly menial positions throughout alien space. Maintenance workers, cargo handlers, cleaning staff, roles that became invisible to their employers over time. Now these ghosts in the machine revealed their true purpose. Initiate Protocol Phantom, Kevin ordered, his neural implants transmitting authentication codes that had waited generations to be used. Show me what we've built. Across Crixen space, the carefully constructed infiltration web activated. On their throne world, the royal family's personal chef, a position held by human operatives for 3 generations, activated dormant programs in their security systems. In their military academies, professors who had taught basic xenobiology for decades now accessed hidden command protocols. Sir, Lieutenant Sandra Parker called out, the Crixen's quantum defense network is experiencing unexpected failures. Their backup systems are responding exactly as predicted. Her smile carried the satisfaction of a plan centuries in the making. Kevin nodded, watching as strategic systems throughout Crixen space began to falter. Supply lines failed as navigation buoys transmitted incorrect data. Communication networks experienced selective outages, isolating military commands from their troops. Even their vaunted automated defense systems began targeting phantom threats, wasting precious resources. Status report on Operation Master Key, he requested, turning to another display showing the fruits of humanity's patient intelligence gathering. Commander Nash responded promptly. Every access code we gathered over the last century has been verified. Our cultural exchange programs provided access to 82% of their critical infrastructure. Trade negotiations gave us the rest. The tactical displays told the story of humanity's true expertise. While the Crixen had boasted of their military might, humans had waged a silent war of infiltration and preparation. Every trade deal, every diplomatic mission, every cultural exchange had been part of an intricate strategy. Director, Parker interrupted, we're detecting increased quantum emissions from the Crixen High Command Bunker. They're attempting to activate their doomsday protocols. Kevin allowed himself a small smile. Execute Operation Checkmate. Throughout the Crixen command structure, seemingly loyal alien officers revealed their true allegiance. The products of centuries of deep-covered genetic engineering and psychological operations, these agents had been humanity's ultimate insurance policy. Sir, the Confederation Security Council is demanding information about our intelligence capabilities, Nash reported. They're particularly interested in how we achieve this level of infiltration. Send them the standard response, Kevin replied. Remind them that we've been providing accurate intelligence about piracy and smuggling for centuries. They never questioned how we obtained that information. On his main display, Kevin watched as another Crixen battle fleet found itself divided and confused by contradictory orders. Their much-vaunted warrior culture had never considered that their enemies might win without fighting. Even now, they searched for armies to battle while their empire crumbled from within. Director, Parker announced, Fleet Command reports that the Crixen Home Defense Fleet is in disarray. Their automated systems are executing conflicting protocols that our agents inserted during routine maintenance cycles. Kevin stood, watching as the empire that had dared to attack humanity's civilians collapsed under the weight of centuries of preparation. Send word to all agents, he ordered. Execute Phase 2. Show them exactly how much we've learned while serving their meals and cleaning their halls. Across Crixen space, humanity's hidden warriors emerged from the shadows. The empire that had prided itself on military might was about to learn that true power lay not in the weapons you displayed, but in the preparations you kept hidden. Captain Sarah Walker stood on the bridge of the HMS Nemesis, orchestrating a symphony of psychological warfare that would have made ancient strategists proud. The massive warship, hidden for decades beneath the facade of a luxury cruise liner, now revealed its true purpose as humanity's most sophisticated electronic warfare platform. "Begin broadcast sequence Delta," she commanded, her neural implants connecting directly with the ship's quantum systems. "Let them hear what we've learned about fear." Lieutenant Mark Peterson, her chief psychological warfare officer, nodded as he initiated the carefully crafted assault. "Broadcasting on all Crixin frequencies, Captain. Implementing the cultural attack vectors we've gathered over the last century." Across Crixin space, their carefully constructed message began to play. It wasn't just sound. It was the culmination of centuries studying Crixin psychology, biology, and cultural weak points. The message contained subsonic frequencies that triggered primal fear responses in Crixin neural structures, combined with cultural symbols that attacked the very foundation of their warrior ethos. "Status report on the Mindbreaker protocols," Sarah requested, watching as the first waves of psychological warfare took effect. Commander Jennifer Hayes responded from her station. "The targeted cultural disruption is working exactly as planned. Their warrior case structure is beginning to fracture. 3 major fleet groups have already broken formation, responding to artificial command signals we crafted using their own cultural imperatives. The Nemesis moved through space like a ghost, its quantum drives operating in perfect silence. Around it, other ships of the psychological warfare fleet deployed in formation, each broadcasting their own carefully tailored messages of destruction. "Ma'am," Peterson called out, "we're detecting increased neural activity in the targeted Crixin command centers. The subliminal programming we embedded in their entertainment broadcasts over the last 50 years is activating." Sarah allowed herself a small smile. While the Crixin had boasted about their immunity to psychological warfare, humans had been patiently implanting subtle triggers in everything from trade documents to cultural exchange programs. Now, those hidden seeds bloomed into flowers of chaos. "Begin Phase 2, she ordered. "Show them the truth about their empire." Across every communication channel, carefully preserved evidence of Crixin war crimes began to play. The destruction of Haven Colony was juxtaposed with historical records of similar atrocities, revealing a pattern that even the most hardened Crixin warrior couldn't ignore. Their own surveillance systems, compromised long ago, now turned against them to broadcast their crimes to their own people. "Enemy morale is cracking," Hayes reported with professional satisfaction. Their command structure relied heavily on the myth of honorable warfare. Seeing their own atrocities is shattering their self-image. Through her neural interface, Sarah directed the next phase of the assault. The Nemesis quantum processors began broadcasting directly into the Crixin BattleNet, using their own military codes against them. Each message was crafted to exploit specific psychological vulnerabilities that humanity had spent generations mapping. "Captain," Peterson's voice carried a note of triumph. "The first Crixin battle groups are standing down. Their command frequencies are filled with discussions of honor and redemption, exactly as our cultural models predicted." Sarah nodded, watching as the mighty Crixin war machine began to crumble from within. "Transmit the surrender protocols. Let them see the path we've created for them." The message that went out was perhaps the most carefully crafted of all. A way for the Crixin to surrender while maintaining their concept of honor. It had been designed by generations of human anthropologists and psychologists, each adding their own understanding to the complex tapestry of Crixin cultural warfare. "Signal from Fleet Command," Hayes announced. "The Crixin Home Fleet is requesting parley. They're using the exact cultural protocols we predicted they would." Sarah stood at her command station, watching as centuries of patient study and preparation paid off. Humanity had spent generations learning how to break an unbreakable species, not through superior firepower or advanced technology, but through perfect understanding of their enemy's mind and soul. Ambassador Thomas Harrison stood before the Galactic Confederation Emergency Council, his diplomatic uniform now bearing the subtle insignia of Earth's combined military forces. The chamber, once filled with casual dismissal of human capabilities, now hummed with nervous energy as representatives from every major species waited for his address. "Distinguished representatives," he began, his voice carrying the weight of centuries, "you asked for an explanation of recent events. We are here to provide one." Behind him, holographic displays activated, showing the systematic dismantling of the Crixan Empire's military might. The Zixtal ambassador chittered nervously. "Your species, you had this capability all along." The question carried undertones of fear and disbelief. "We had more," Thomas replied calmly. "What you witnessed was merely what we needed to use." Our response was measured, precise, and specifically targeted to minimize civilian casualties while maximizing military effectiveness. Major Elizabeth Blackwood, standing at attention behind the ambassador, activated the next series of displays. They showed human vessels transforming from merchant ships to warships, cultural centers revealing hidden fortresses, and the massive intelligence network that had mapped every corner of Crixan's face. "Humanity has been accused of deception," Thomas continued, scanning the chamber. "This is accurate. We deceived you all. We chose to appear weak when we were strong, peaceful when we were prepared for war, and ignorant when we had already learned everything about you." The Murkar representative, his fur bristling with agitation, demanded, "Why maintain this facade? Why pretend to be something you're not?" Thomas's response was measured, each word carefully chosen. "Because we understood something that the Crixan never did. The true strength of a species lies not in their ability to wage war, but in their wisdom to avoid it when possible." The displays shifted, showing the aftermath of Haven Colony's destruction alongside images of the precisely targeted strikes that had dismantled the Crixan military. The contrast was stark, their indiscriminate slaughter against humanity's surgical precision. "We chose peace," Thomas explained, "not because we couldn't fight, but because we understood the cost of warfare better than any species in this chamber. Every human child learns not just about our artistic achievements, but also about the devastating conflicts that taught us the value of peace." Commander Sarah Chen, now openly wearing her military insignia, stepped forward with the final data presentation. "The Crixan Empire's remaining military assets have been neutralized. Their leadership has accepted unconditional surrender under terms that will ensure they never again pose a threat to galactic peace." The chamber erupted in a chorus of questions and demands. Thomas raised his hand for silence, his gesture carrying an authority that none dared challenge. "You ask how we achieved this victory so completely, so quickly. The answer is simple. We never stopped preparing for war. We just learned to hide it better than anyone thought possible." He moved to the center of the chamber, his voice reaching every corner. "Humanity's greatest weapon was never our hidden fleets or our advanced technology. It was our patience, our ability to plan not for years or decades, but for centuries." The displays showed one final image, the reconstruction efforts already beginning on Haven Colony. "We wish to return to peace," Thomas declared. "We will rebuild what was destroyed, help rehabilitate the Crixan people, and continue our role in galactic society. But let this stand as a lesson to all species who mistake kindness for weakness, restraint for incapability." As the council session concluded, Thomas stood with his military staff, watching the representatives hurry to inform their governments of humanity's true nature. The mask had been dropped, revealing not the soft traders they had pretended to be, but something far more complex, a species that had mastered both war and peace, capable of choosing either path with equal skill. "They understand now," he said quietly to his staff. "The question is, what will they do with that understanding?" The answer would shape the future of galactic civilization. But whatever came next, humanity would face it as they truly were. No more masks, no more deceptions, just the complex truth of a species that had learned to master both the art of peace and the necessity of war.